Okay, section 4.2, proportions. Okay, what are we going to be getting into now? Proportions. We're going to verify proportions, solve proportions, and we might even be able to look at some application problems using proportions. If not, we'll be getting into those in the examples. So, what is a proportion? A proportion is a statement that two ratios are equal. In the symbols, A over B equals C over D, and of course, because we are dealing with fractions, we got to make sure that B and D do not equal 0, because that would leave them as undefined. Okay, notice also it says a proportion is true if the cross products A times D and B times C are equal. Basically saying if I multiply this number to this number, I'm going to get an answer. Multiply this to this, I'm going to get an answer. If they are equal to each other, then I do have something that's a proportion. So let's take a look and see so you can kind of see an example of what we mean. Okay, notice compare the cross products to determine whether each proportion is true or false. So let's look at A. Okay, so A, well, remember here we've got A, B, C, D, okay? So if I do 6 times 20, well, 6 times 20, what is that going to be? Well, when you do 6 times 20, 6 times 20, you are going to get 120, which of course I should have been able to do in my head. But it's been a long day. So then I've got 8 times 15. Well, we've got 8 times 15. What is that going to be? And that once again equals 120. So yes, right here I have a proportion. So let's do the next one. Let's do B. I've got 5 times 10. Okay, well that obviously equals 50, and I just have a feeling that this is not going to be a proportion because look what happens when you got 8 times 7. Well, you get 56. So this right here is not a proportion. Well, what about this guy right here? A little bit harder to tell, but we can go ahead and do the math to it real fast. And I've got C, so how about 9 times 6.5? Well, 9 times 6.5 is going to give me 58.5. And then 13 times 4.5. Well, just going to write that down. 13 times 4.5. Well, that also gives me 58.5. And so right here, though they look different than each other, one has just got whole numbers, one has got decimals, they are proportional to each other. So that's exactly what you're looking for whenever you're looking at proportions. So let's continue on. Okay, determine whether the given proportion is true or false, and notice they're giving us something weirder. And of course they give us this nice little hint here. Okay, hint, change each mixed number to an improper fraction, because remember, whenever we were learning about improper fractions and multiplying them in mixed numbers, it's always a lot easier to do all this whenever they are changed over. So let's do that real fast. I've got 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1, that's going to be 7 over 3. With, okay, well let's remember this is 7, we can make that a fraction, let's make that 7 over 1. Well, that's going to equal, well, 4 times 3 is 12, and that's going to be a 13 over 4. And then right here I've got 9 times 4 is going to be 36, then 37, 38, 39. 39 over 4. Well, now what we can do is let's go ahead and come in here and do our math and see if they equal out. So on one I'm going to have 7 over 3 multiplied by 39 over 4. The other one I'm going to have 7 over 1 multiplied by 13 over 4. And I'm going to jump straight into the calculator. I'm just going to go 7 times 39, and that's going to equal 273. Okay, and that's going to be a 12 there. And I've got 7 times 13, and that's going to give me a 91. All over 4, which we don't know. This might work out, so let's do 273 divided by 12, and we get 22.75. Around room here, 22.75, and then 91 divided by 4, and then once again we get 22.75. So yes, when it's all said and done, this right here, all this mess is a proportion, which is what we were looking for. So you can see that turning these to improper and then just doing the math, doing what we call the cross product. I'm going to draw a line here because we will be doing this a lot. Okay. Cross product, multiply from here to here, here to here. Now you can see why they call it the cross product. Alrighty, so procedure to find the cross product or cross multiply, and then set the cross products equal to each other. Divide both sides by the equation by the number that multiplies the variable, and then simplify. Okay, so this is how we're going to solve proportions right here. Okay, so we have something like this. Find the value of x if 4/8 equals 5/x. So what we want to do is we want to make this equal. So what we want to do is go ahead and do the cross product on this. So let me get a pen here, and I've got 4/8 is equal to 5 over some unknown. So continuing on, well, 4/x, 4 multiplied by x is just going to be 4x. Okay, well, here notice 5 times 8, that's going to be 40. What we're going to do here is we're going to divide off this 4. What does that do? But that gets rid of the 4. Okay, I say get rid of, but that reduces the 4 on this side, leaving just that x by itself. And then over here we've got 40 divided by 4. Okay, well that's just going to give us where x is equal to 10. Okay, and then we could check it out. We could always check it. We can come here and go 4/8 equals 5/10, and you can come here and check it. 8 times 5, well, that equals 40. 4 times 10, that equals 40. So it works out perfectly. You have now found the way to find a procedure to find proportions. Okay, let's do another one. So find the value of y. Okay, same thing is going to happen here. Okay, I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to go ahead and start multiplying straight across. Okay, so I can come in here. Let's go and rewrite this. Get another pen, and I've got 6/16 is equal to y all over 24. Okay, well, 6 times 24 is going to equal 144. Okay, and then I'm going to have this 16y. Well, just like on the last one, let's come in here and let's divide off the 16 off both sides. I think you're already going to be able to tell what I'm able to get here in just a second. Let's see, 144 divided by 16, and we get a 9. So we're going to get a y equals 9. And so we could actually check this. We can put in 6/16 equals 9/24. Okay, and once again, like I said, you can check these by coming back in here and going, okay, well, what's 16 times 9? Well, 16 times 9 is going to give me the 144, and then 6 times 24 is obviously going to give us the 144. So we know that all of these right here, equal out and work. Okay, so, and just a little example here. Note that the variable may appear on the right-hand side of the equation as well on the left-hand side of the equation. In either case, we divide both sides of the equation by the number that multiplies the variable. Basically, looking here, right there, no matter what happens, whatever we're multiplying to this variable right here, because there's a little small multiplication symbol right there, okay? What we have to do is just divide that out. And that's exactly how we kind of just continue on with this. Alright, here's one that's just a little bit different, but let's just kind of be intentional with how we do things and realize that we're still going to multiply from here, and we're going to multiply to here. Okay, so we know that 7 times 2 is 14. We're going to add a 0, so that's going to give us 140. Okay, so on one side of this equation, let me get my black pen here, we're going to have 140. Okay, well, what's that equal to? This n is going to multiply over to here, so we can have 2/3 n. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, remember, it says we divide everything, right? So let's go ahead and divide it. What am I going to divide by? I'm going to divide by 2/3. Well, notice what's going to happen on this side is whenever I divide by 2/3, well, of course, that's going to be gone. But then over here, I divide by 2/3. Remember, I'm dividing here. So I'm going to come over here and I've got this 140. Well, remember, I'm dividing by 140. So I'm actually multiplying by 3/2. Let's think back, because how you'd actually see this is going to be 140/1 divided by 2/3, but we do not divide. We multiply by reciprocals of the second term. And so now we can come in here and look, this is going to reduce down here. This will reduce down to a 70. And then 7 times 3 is going to be 21. So this is going to be 210 right here. So that is what n equals, is 210. And you can go back in and check yourself. You can go, okay, well, is this going to work? Well, I've got this 210 here and a 7, all equal to 20 and 2/3. Well, we can check here. Well, notice here I've got 70 times 20. That's going to equal my 140. Well, here I've got 210, okay, times 3, or sorry, times 2, 210 times 2. Well, that's going to give me 420, but then I'm going to divide that by 3. And once again here, once I get all done, it gets to 140 again. And so therefore, this works out very, very well. So, and then to solve an application using a proportion. Okay, identify the unknown quantity and use a variable to represent this quantity. Just a variable, okay? Use whatever you want, okay? Set up a proportion in which the units are compared in the same order. Make sure that the units are labeled so they can be seen to be in the right order. Solve the proportion. That I'll show you, okay? A motorcycle will travel 352 miles on 11 gallons of gas, okay? How many miles will this motorcycle travel on 15 gallons of gas? So to set this proportion, this is how we're going to do it. I can travel how far? Well, I can travel 352 miles, okay, on how much? On 11 gallons of gas. Well, it says to me, how many miles will this motorcycle travel? Well, let's just use M for miles. I don't know how many miles, but I do know how far I can go. Let's see how many miles I'll be able to go on 15. Okay? And we'll put a gallon symbol. So notice what they're saying is this gallon needs to match up with this gallon. Miles needs to match up with miles. So now we can come in here and go ahead and do our math to this. Let's come over here and notice I'm going to get 11 M is equal to 352 times 15, and that's going to equal 5,280. Okay, I'll divide off the 11 off to both sides. And how many miles can I go? Well, my M is going to equal, well, let's do 5280 divided by 11, and I'll get 480, okay, miles. And that would make these proportions equal. And that's how you do an application problem. All right.